Alright guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. So today we're going to take another look at the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I've had this device for quite some time now. I've actually been using it for quite a bit, more than I thought I would. And it's a surprise to me because, well, I didn't think I would be loving an iPhone. But I think one thing that really helps me is the fact that I have so many other Apple products like iPad and Macs and things like that. It's just a lot to like about Apple. Now, something I like about Apple products that I don't discuss very often is Carplay. When I compare Carplay to Android Auto, they pretty much do the same thing. But both of my cars, one's a 22 and one's a 21, and the wireless CarPlay isn't available in my 21 for some reason. But the 22, obviously, it has it. Wireless Android Auto is not available in my 22, but it's available in my 21. So I don't know what that's about, but I like wireless CarPlay. I think it's just one of the best features to use because I don't like to plug my phone up sometimes just to have it plugged up, you know, to access the music or maps or anything. So being able to use CarPlay is actually really nice, and I really enjoy that, being able to access everything without plugging my phone in. I can keep my phone in my pocket, and anytime I just get in the car, boom, CarPlay starts. So aside from that, the phone itself is just a great performer. I mean, I'm talking about, I hate to start this way, but fantastic battery. And I'm actually using the iPhone 13 Pro Max to record this video. That's why you don't see it in my hands. But you know, I find that, you know, there's not very many phones out there, not even the iPhone 13, because, and I'm saying that device because I use that one too, but with it having the lesser spec screen and things like that, it has a pretty big battery, but overall it still doesn't produce the battery that the iPhone 13 Pro Max produces. So that's pretty strange to me that you know, Apple can have this device with 120 hertz refresh rate. And I understand, I was asking my group earlier, you know, I don't like that I can't adjust it and pretty much force it to 120 hertz. If you can, I just, you know, I haven't even checked into if I can even do that. But I'm fine with the way it flows. The operating system flows right along very well. And I don't foresee myself disliking pretty much anything about this iPhone 13 Pro Max at this point, because the battery life is important. But having a smooth operating system and getting a good user experience is what really helps. So as I phase over to user experience, that's when like handoff becomes a very airdrop. These things can happen on other devices, but with Apple, I just love the fact that I can drop some of my videos that I do, like all the videos that I shoot are in 4K 60 pretty much, and there's some pretty big files when I'm finished, especially if the videos are you know, and then not to mention ProRes. If I shoot in ProRes, it's a wrap. But you know, Apple has done a great job with integrating the way you can move between the different systems that they offer and make it really simple and seamless. And it's not to say that other devices can't do it, because like I said, other devices can do it, but it just doesn't seem as seamless. I genuinely like RCS Messaging. RCS Messaging works great on Android, but not everybody is on RCS Messaging, and that's the bad part. You know, it comes down to, I know you probably saw the thing with the Google CEO. Ultimately, what they're wanting is to take it across the board. So if a person doesn't have an iPhone, which is really silly to me, but I'm not going to get into that discussion that was going on. You Google it for yourself, no pun intended. But you know, it would just be easier if everybody was on RCS or the systems communicated with each other. And so then we could send a full-blown 4K video like I can do on an iPhone to an iPhone person. Literally, I've sent full 4-minute videos through iMessenger, and depending on how fast your internet connection is, and you know, determine how fast it can download to your device. But my device, if I do it, I have fiber, so over Wi-Fi, I'm getting 900 up. So it's going pretty fast to the person, but nonetheless, even if they don't have high-speed internet, once it loads, it plays in full resolution. And that has got to be one of the most exciting parts of owning that. Now, some people say, oh, that's nothing but WhatsApp, or iMessenger isn't anything fancy. It's just that it's a glorified chat. That's really all it is. And so with Google, and the reason Apple has it is you can actually turn off iMessenger, and then everything will turn green and it'll just be regular text messages. That's how you can determine whether you're on chat or not. Because with RCS, when you're not on chat, it's sky blue, and when you are on chat, when you have RCS talking to somebody on RCS, it's dark blue, just like iMessenger. So, but I think iMessenger, and through RCS, you can send some pretty high quality videos, but I've never tried to send a full blown video like I've done on iOS. So, that's a big part of owning an iPhone. And my family obviously has a lot of the people in my family have an iPhone, like all of my nieces and nephews. And they're not young. They're 25, 30, 35. They're of age. They have children. And pretty much all of them are on iOS. And I like to be able to communicate with them. Obviously, my children are all on iOS family. But my mom, she's way up there in age, but she uses RCS. She uses Android. She doesn't use Apple products. And then all of my sisters, they're not they're on RCS. So it's kind of a mixed bag, But RCS is just as good as iMessenger, but iMessenger seems to be a key point for Apple, because as I stay on this topic for a little bit longer, with iMessage, I like that I can play video games with my children or cousins or nephews and nieces. I can play a pool game back and forth. I haven't explored if you can do that on RCS messaging yet. So with iOS, though, in iMessage, you can clearly play video games and do more interactive things with your family. And I think that's why a lot of people prefer iPhones, some of them for just that reason alone. And that's just how it is. Now, all that aside, obviously Apple phones perform very well. I don't have to test the cameras because this is the camera on the iPhone right now, iPhone 13 Pro Max right now. So if in fact I'm going to do something with a phone, there are some things that I like about my Z Fold 3 and Z Flip 3 and just all my other Android phones just about to have powerful enough cameras. But Apple doesn't have a Pro mode yet. They have ProRes, but there's no control over the gain. There's no control over the footage. If I want portrait video, I just go to cinematic, and there's just more control over the camera for phones that don't even have Pro in the name. Because this little Z Flip 3 here, this phone right here doesn't have Pro in the name, but it has Pro cameras on here. And I've proven it time and time again that these cameras are fantastic. As a matter of fact, I've been using the Z Flip 3 and the Z Fold 3 and the S21 FE to record a ton of footage on the channel. And I have not been using my iPhone to record because those phones have Pro mode right in the application. So I appreciate that. So I think once Apple can adapt something like that, when I can adjust the gains myself, I can have a little bit more manual control. And this isn't a new conversation I'm having. I've always had this conversation about Apple products with them not giving me control over certain things of the device, but they're labeling them Pro. And that's not always a bad thing because ProRes is really high quality and Apple wants to do the work for you. Their AI learning system, they want to do it to where it's professional looking and they want to maintain control of that. And so, I don't have anything against that as long as the quality is good. And I think this quality is fantastic. But it's up to you to determine what you think is good quality. But again, I don't need to test the cameras because these are the cameras on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. And this discussion video is to bring you up to speed on how I feel about the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I'm loving it. It's still fantastic. And I'm pretty sure that when it comes down to it, I probably am going to have to, Apple's going to really have to do something high quality and change the iPhone 14 or whatever it's going to be called. They're going to have to really do something spectacular for me to get rid of this iPhone 13 Pro Max. Now, I know every year I probably say that, and to me the changes that are done, I guess I want to kind of get out of that mode that I'm getting it just for review purposes, because I am a tech enthusiast and I do reviews, but I also want to start trying to enjoy some of these things without being in a review state of mind. I want to be able to just sit down and have a conversation with you like this without even thinking that I'm in review mode. And that's very difficult as a creator, to be honest. It's almost impossible to do sometimes. But when I'm around family members, it's not like that. I'm out of creator mode and I'm just kind of going through the phones and products as is. But Apple's going to have to do something spectacular for me to trade in this iPhone 13 Pro Max and get rid of it. It's going to have to be really good, because worst case, I'll probably just buy the next iteration of it and just keep this for more video creating on the channel, because Apple has things like iMovie built into all of their devices pretty much, and so you don't technically need to buy a third-party editing app. That's another huge plus to having an Apple product, an iPhone in particular. This iPhone 13 Pro Max screen is big enough to where I can shoot this entire video and edit right on this device comfortably. Now, granted, I do have an iPad Mini 6 with a lot more canvas. It's got a lot more canvas on here, so holding it and editing with it is going to be even better. So how do I do that? Well, I can airdrop this over to this device, boom, and I can edit and have more canvas. Or I can shoot it over to my MacBook Pro 14, have another canvas, bigger canvas, and if that's not good enough, I can just close the lid on my MacBook Pro 14, and I have a 24-inch 4K monitor right here that I can get all the power out of if I want to. I mean, Apple having that included in their software, I think it's where I've always complained about Android. They don't have a native free app for editing. And you would think by now they would, because a lot of the things on Android that are in the Apple App Store cost in the Apple Store but are free in Android. So, little small things like that make Apple win. They win. Now, not even discussing hardware or anything like that, but I just think the hardware, I've always discussed this. And again, this is just a follow-up discussion, folks. The hardware on Apple's products, mainly, most of them are fantastic. That's just what it is. They're up to speed. They're behind, but they're good. They're not spectacular looking, and they're not changing too much on them. But when they do, what they do have feels fantastic. A good weight on it, feels premium, and I like it a lot. So, discussion video, and this video is all shot on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, but the file size is being shot at 4K 60, so this file size is going to be pretty big. I don't even know how long this video is at this point. It's at least 5 to 10 minutes. It's going to be a pretty big file. So I'll be able to drop it over to my iPad or drop it over to my MacBook Pro and edit it away if I want to, or just edit right on the device and then upload it directly, because again, I do have really high-speed internet. Wouldn't be a problem. But I think I'm going to edit on my Mac because I like having the big 24-inch display, my 4K monitor that I have. So it's your man Jay. How are you feeling about your iPhone 13 Pro Max after all this time of having it? Some of you guys have owned it longer than me. I admit I bought it maybe 2 to 3 months ago, I think. I don't know how long it's been. It's definitely been longer than a month. So maybe I'm going on 2. I'll just label this 2 to 3 months in. And I'm still impressed. And I'm even more impressed because it's holding up very well. And Apple products, I could keep this phone for 10 years probably. Honestly. 7 to 10 years, this phone will still be running fast. I'm sure it will. Now, until Apple puts a M1 chip in their phones, which they're going to do it eventually, folks, because they already got it in the iPad. So they're going to put them in the phones eventually. They're going to label those Pro devices, but they better have something Pro about them. Give me control over the camera. I'll be happy. It's your man Jay. If I didn't cover something that you wanted to hear about the iPhone 13 Pro Max in my experience, just leave a comment down below and maybe I'll respond to you directly. But for now, iPhone 13 Pro Max is still great. Hard to beat. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.